Let me ask you something very personal. Have you ever wondered why some men, maybe even men you know, begin to struggle with performance issues far earlier than expected? You see them losing confidence, withdrawing from their partners, and pretending everything is fine. But deep down you know something isn't right. Now here's the part that might shock you. Sometimes it's not age, it's not bad luck, and it's not even just low testosterone. Sometimes it's because of private habits that feel harmless in the moment but over time slowly chip away at your sexual health. And the scary thing is, most men don't even realize it's happening until the damage is already done. Think about it. Intimacy isn't just about the physical act. It's about confidence, connection, and even dignity. When that begins to slip, it doesn't just affect the bedroom. It affects your marriage, your mood, and even how you see yourself as a man. That's why this topic is so important, especially as you get older. Because what you don't know can quietly rob you of something you hold dear. And that's exactly why I made this video. Today, I'm going to share with you the 4 worst masturbation mistakes urologists warn about. These are mistakes that may silently increase your risk of erectile dysfunction if you ignore them. By the time you finish watching, you won't just know what these mistakes are, you'll know how to avoid them, how to protect your body, and how to hold on to your confidence for years to come. But before we dive in, I want to hear from you. Do you believe that private habits, the kind no one talks about, can really affect long-term sexual health? Drop your honest thoughts down in the comments. Your experience might help someone else who's struggling in silence. And if this is your first time here, welcome to Elderly Advice for Life. This is the place where we talk about the things that truly matter to your health, your dignity, and your future. So, make sure you hit that subscribe button because the knowledge you gain here could change your life, or the life of someone you love. Let's start with the very first mistake, one that many men overlook because it feels so ordinary. Imagine a man in his 60s. He's still active, still sharp, and in many ways still feels young at heart. But there's something he admits quietly, maybe even with a bit of shame. For decades, he's relied on his solo habits almost every single day. At first it seemed harmless. He thought, this is normal, this keeps me stress-free, this can't possibly be a problem. But as the years rolled by, he began to notice subtle changes. Intimacy with his partner no longer felt as exciting, his arousal wasn't as strong, and the energy that once came naturally started to fade away. Now here's where the science comes in. When you overstimulate your body too frequently, especially in the exact same way every time, your brain's reward system starts to adapt. Think of it like listening to your favorite song on repeat. At first it feels amazing, but eventually, it loses its magic. The same thing happens with your dopamine receptors. Over time they become less responsive, meaning the real experience of intimacy begins to feel, well, dull. And when that happens, not only can psychological ED creep in, but physical ED can begin to show as well. This is why urologists warn so strongly about excessive frequency. Your body needs balance and your brain needs recovery. But here's the trap many fall into. The misconception that if something feels good, it must be harmless. That line of thinking leads men into patterns they never question, until years later when they're sitting across from a doctor, wondering why their confidence in the bedroom has disappeared. You see, moderation isn't just a suggestion. It's a necessity, especially as testosterone naturally declines with age. What your body could tolerate at 25 or 35 doesn't always serve you well at 55 or 65. So, what can you do about it? The advice is simple but powerful. Pace yourself. Allow your body time to recover between sessions. Treat it the same way you would treat exercise. You wouldn't work the same muscle non-stop every single day without giving it rest. And instead of relying only on the quick release of solo habits, shift your focus back toward intimacy, emotional connection, and gentler forms of pleasure. That way, you not only protect your sexual health, but also nurture the bond with your partner in a more meaningful way. But let's be clear, this isn't just about frequency. The way you do it matters just as much, sometimes even more. And that brings us directly to mistake number 2. A silent influence that affects more men than you might realize. Think about a man who has spent years relying on highly edited videos, perfectly scripted scenarios, and unrealistically exaggerated performances. Day after day, week after week, He's been conditioning his brain to expect a fantasy that doesn't exist in real life. At first, it feels harmless, he might even laugh at how over the top it all is. But when he finally tries intimacy with a real partner, reality hits him hard. His brain struggles to respond the way it used to. What once came naturally now feels underwhelming. The sensations aren't enough. The excitement isn't there. And slowly, this mismatch can spiral into frustration, anxiety, and even erectile difficulties. Here's why it happens. Over time, repeated exposure to these artificial images rewires the brain's reward system. Your brain starts demanding stronger, more intense stimulation to achieve the same sense of pleasure. Natural arousal, like the simple real-life connection with a partner, begins to feel dull by comparison. This is what urologists refer to as porn-induced ED, a real phenomenon where your own brain's wiring can interfere with physical response. And yet, so many men shrug this off. They tell themselves, it's harmless entertainment. Everyone does it. But here's the problem. The brain doesn't differentiate between fantasy and reality in terms of conditioning. It learns, adapts, and eventually begins to expect more and more, leaving real intimacy feeling like it just can't compete. So what can you do? The first step is awareness. Notice your habits and the patterns they create. Consider reducing or even cutting out pornography entirely, at least for a period, to allow your brain to reset. Replace it with mindful practices. Focus on emotional intimacy with your partner or guided imagination exercises that reconnect pleasure with reality rather than fantasy. Reclaiming control over your mind in this way isn't just about sexual performance. It's about taking back confidence and enjoying genuine connection again. But remember, even as the mind plays a huge role, the body itself isn't left out. How you physically treat yourself during these habits can either protect your long-term health or quietly undermine it. And that brings us to mistake number 3. One that many men rarely consider, yet can quietly damage their sexual health over time. Picture a man who relies on intense pressure or aggressive techniques to reach climax. Maybe he thinks it's faster, more satisfying, or simply the only way he can achieve release. At first, it seems harmless, just a part of routine. But over the years, subtle warning signs begin to appear. There's occasional pain, a strange numbness, and a slow decrease in sensitivity. What once felt natural and effortless now requires more effort, more intensity, more force. And that's when the body starts sending signals that something isn't right. Here's the science behind it. Your penis is made up of delicate nerves, tiny blood vessels, and tissue that relies on proper circulation. When you repeatedly apply aggressive pressure, you risk damaging those nerves and vessels. Even small injuries, repeated over time, can accumulate, reducing both sensitivity and blood flow. And as circulation diminishes, achieving or maintaining an erection becomes increasingly difficult. What seems like a harmless habit can silently pave the way toward physical erectile dysfunction. Yet many men dismiss it. They say, it's just a quick release, no harm done. That's a dangerous assumption. Micro-injuries don't hurt immediately, but they accumulate. And once sensitivity is lost, it's not easy to regain. So what's the solution? The answer is surprisingly simple, but it takes patience. Be gentle. Treat your body with the same care you would a precious instrument. If you've developed habits that require extreme stimulation, work on retraining yourself. Lighter touch, slower pace, and patience can rebuild sensitivity over time. It's not about restriction, it's about respect for your body, preserving both function and pleasure well into your later years. And remember, while technique matters, there's one final mistake that often goes unnoticed, one that affects the very foundation of erectile health itself, your overall circulation and lifestyle. That brings us to mistake number 4. Arguably the most overlooked, yet perhaps the most powerful factor in your sexual health. Picture a man who thinks the problem is only in the bedroom. He blames his habits, his age, maybe even stress from work. But he forgets the bigger picture. His diet is poor, he doesn't move much, he smokes occasionally, and stress constantly builds up. He doesn't realize that these lifestyle factors aren't just affecting his heart, his energy, or his mood, they're quietly undermining his ability to perform in the most intimate moments of life. Here's the science behind it. Erections are fundamentally about blood flow. You need strong circulation, healthy vessels, and good cardiovascular function. If your body is weakened by poor lifestyle choices, blood flow diminishes, nerves struggle to transmit signals properly, and maintaining an erection becomes increasingly difficult. And when you combine this with solo habits done in a less than healthy state, you're stacking risk upon risk, without even realizing it. This is why urologists often say that ED isn't just a performance issue. Many men see it as an embarrassment, something isolated to the bedroom. But in reality, it can be one of the earliest warning signs of deeper cardiovascular issues. A signal from your body saying, pay attention. Something needs to change. So what can you do? The steps are simple but incredibly effective. Improve your diet with nutrient-rich, heart-friendly foods. Stay active. Even gentle exercise helps circulation and hormone balance. Manage your stress through mindfulness, meditation, or just taking quiet moments for yourself. And if you smoke, find a way to quit. It's not just your lungs that will thank you, it's your entire circulatory system. Remember, masturbation habits matter, but they're just one piece of a much larger puzzle. Taking care of your overall health is the foundation for protecting your sexual function for years to come. Now that you know the 4 worst mistakes, the hidden pitfalls that can silently damage your sexual health, let's take a step back. Let's talk about why this hits home emotionally, and what you can do today to reclaim control and confidence in your later years. Now, let's pause for a moment and think about what all of this really means. Because for many men, intimacy isn't just about pleasure. It's about identity, connection, and confidence. It's about feeling like yourself, feeling desired, and being able to share closeness with someone you care about. And when that begins to slip away, it can feel like you're losing a part of yourself, something essential that you can't quite replace. That's why this conversation isn't just about habits or technique. It's about understanding how deeply your choices can impact your life, your relationships, and your sense of self. But here's the thing, you don't have to be afraid. You don't have to feel helpless. Because the truth is, knowledge is power. By recognizing these 4 mistakes, by understanding how your body and mind respond, and by making healthier choices, you can take back control. It's never too late to protect your body, your sexual health, and the bonds that matter most. You can start today, and even small, consistent steps can build enormous change over time. If you've noticed any of these habits in your own life, don't panic. Don't berate yourself. Instead, start small. Maybe it's cutting back, maybe it's being gentler, maybe it's prioritizing real intimacy over quick fixes. Each choice adds up. Each moment of mindfulness strengthens your connection to your body, to your partner, and to your confidence. And remember this, sexual health isn't separate from overall health. It reflects it. When you care for your heart, your circulation, your stress levels, and your habits, you're also caring for your ability to enjoy intimacy, connection, and confidence well into your later years. May have been slipping away, and you can do it with dignity, pride, and hope for the future. This isn't about fear. It's about empowerment. It's about understanding the hidden ways your habits shape your health, and using that knowledge to live a fuller, richer, and more connected life. And now, before we wrap up, let's take a moment to pull everything together. To recap, the 4 worst masturbation mistakes that urologists warn about are: first, overdoing it, relying on excessive frequency that can desensitize your body and mind. Second, relying too much on unrealistic material like highly edited videos, which can condition your brain to expect fantasy instead of real intimacy. Third, being too rough or aggressive, which can damage delicate nerves and blood vessels over time. And fourth, neglecting your overall health, ignoring diet, exercise, stress, and lifestyle factors that are absolutely crucial for maintaining circulation and sexual function. Each of these mistakes may seem small on its own, but together they can quietly chip away at your sexual health and confidence if left unchecked. Now I want to hear from you. Which of these surprised you the most? Be honest. Have you noticed any of these habits in yourself, or perhaps in someone you care about? Sharing your experiences could help others who are struggling silently. Let's open up this conversation in the comments below, because talking about it is the first step toward change. And if you found this video helpful, don't just leave it at that. Give it a like and hit subscribe to Elderly Advice for Life. Here we share practical, science-backed insights designed to protect your health, your dignity, and your future. Every tip you learn here is a step toward living stronger, feeling more confident, and enjoying the quality of life you deserve well into your later years. Thank you for taking the time to watch today. Remember, sexual health is part of overall health, and every positive change you make counts. Stay wise, stay patient, and most importantly, stay healthy. I'll see you in the next video, ready to guide you with more insights that truly matter for your body, your mind, and your life.